Let's jump into a CNN panel to help see what's being discussed in the political sphere, and as always, we'll hop in after with the fact checks and very much needed context. Hey you, yes, you! We now have a Substack website where you can help support the channel. For just $8 a month, you can get daily articles exposing the chaos in Trump's first 100 days, a weekly podcast, and other exclusive perks, all while helping the channel grow and defend democracy. This is something that's not just very important to me, but enables us to get our message out to the most amount of people while also being just a genuine passion that I would love to pursue. So for those who have been wondering how to support the channel, how to help us grow, you can sign up now at the first link in our description. Thank you, and let's get back to the video.
This smacks to me of a news organization looking for a way to pick a fight with Donald Trump over something that they don't need to pick a fight over.
Exactly.
B, he is the president, and there is a lawful process that he did follow to do it.
The news
and so
organization
why
did
won't they
not
just
pick a fight with Donald Trump over this. Donald Trump picked a fight with the news organization.
No, they're not calling it by the name.
No, the
fight.
news organization can do whatever they want. If they want to call it the Gulf of South America, they can call it
but
that.
why would I respect
Trump
a news organization that doesn't deal in reality?
But
you don't have to.
Scott,
If to not call it what
they
it
can
is.
call it whatever they want because there's free speech in this country. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but that, in my opinion, if you're not willing to call something by the proper name based on the laws of the United States, that calls into question your judgment. And are you a news organization,
by the way,
or are you
there are no laws in play here. It's an executive order,
but-
and the body of water is not named by the United States. It's named
Sure
by
it is.
global organizations that name global landmarks.
Would it
That's
be-
not. It's not. There's a law.
This is a gross violation of the First Amendment. It's a direct attack on our constitutional rights. Blaming free press for not using the rhetoric you want, despite stating it would acknowledge your change but refer to what the majority of the world still calls it, it's American narcissism to kind of feel like we're the ones in charge of everything, and if we change the name of something, everyone has to comply. Our opinions do not matter much. Shocking revelations for Americans. I know, it really is just an attack on free press and speech. It's an attack on dissenting speech, especially because MAGA is brainwashed into thinking that all news that won't suck off Trump is fake news. I would challenge any MAGA to name 5 to 10 left-wing news stations that are not fake news. If not, if you can't, then you should probably start understanding how, oh, maybe I'm just being brainwashed into thinking that dissenting speech is fake news. Mainstream media is actually pretty credible in what they report on. The problem with mainstream media is what they won't report on. However, MAGA will convince you that they're just lying to you, despite these clowns being unable to give you any fake story. When they're actually pressed, it's always like Russian collusion, even though Russia did interfere in our election in 2016 and the Trump team did work with them for information, all proven, all public info. Or they'll be like the COVID vaccine, even though the vaccine is safe and effective, or the vaccine was made in a lab, even though it wasn't. Or they'll say that they won't say the 2020 election was stolen. It wasn't stolen. It literally just boils down to mainstream media won't regurgitate these conspiratorial lies that they're all bought into, so they have to be fake. Meanwhile, the independent media, taking millions of dollars from Russia, who all come to the same conspiratorial conclusions in defense of Trump about everything, will carry water for everything he does. Those are the free thinkers that you can definitely trust.
Where my issue was the negotiating tactics here. Why would Pete Hegseth go out there and say on the world stage, oh yeah, we're not going to have Ukraine join NATO. Oh yeah, they're not going to get back to their original territory. Why would we already give up those bargaining chips before negotiations have even begun? I agree, they're probably not going to get a perfect solution, but why would we already show our hand and reward Vladimir Putin for invading a sovereign nation? That just seems like bad diplomacy on my part. I don't think that I agree with the way that he's going about it and handling it, because I think that we need to be negotiating from a position of strength, and that seems pretty weak to already be folding and giving Putin exactly what he wants.
When it comes to
Guys, it's 4D chess, and he's a master negotiator. He's saying he'll give Putin every single thing he wants publicly before they even negotiate, because obviously it will get him leverage to get better terms. Putin will be like, he's being so nice, I'll just give him what he wants. No, the truth is, Trump is in Putin's pocket. There's no negotiation here. He is in Putin's camp in these negotiations. He was always going to give him anything, and everything he wanted, especially after Ukraine refused to help him blackmail Joe Biden so he could win in 2020. After Russia politically has interfered in Ukraine from the moment that it became sovereign, rigging their elections from 1992 until 2014 to keep them pro-Russia, to keep their guy Yanukovych for a lot of it in office and controlling Ukraine, essentially keeping it as an arm of Russia. In the very first election that there wasn't outside interference, Ukraine voted in a non-pro-Russia candidate who wanted to side more with the EU. This was after massive protests as the civilians began catching on to Russia interfering in their elections and like, hey, this isn't what we voted for, where the will of the people isn't being met. And then not even months after Ukraine makes its first decision on its own politically after 22 years of supposed sovereignty, Russia then invades them. They then sign a peace deal, but break it immediately once Trump wins the election, knowing that he's not going to keep up America's end of the Budapest Memorandum. U.S. lack of involvement as they break these peace deals motivates Putin to then push further into Russia. Biden obviously backs Ukraine. This halts Russian progression for pretty much the entirety of Biden's presidency, where Ukraine is even able to push back into parts of Russia. Russia troops are suffering huge losses. They had to call in North Koreans to help their army. For Trump to just now come in and say, well, Russia is going to get all of the land it's taken. Ukraine can never join NATO, and Ukraine has to pay us in natural resources or whatever it was that he said. Despite Russia being the aggressor, despite Russia invading a sovereign country and after interfering with them politically for 2 decades and then invading them because they weren't able to politically interfere with them. But MAGA will pretend this is master negotiating instead of Trump clearly being in a dictator's pocket and siding with him over a sovereign nation and being willing to give him whatever he wants. This is imperialism at its finest. George Bush has literally nothing on Donald Trump anymore. He should sit back and learn. Negotiating with an autocratic authoritarian dictator isn't publicly saying, yeah, I'll just literally give him everything he's been asking for. and we'll give Ukraine nothing that they've been asking for in the meantime. Again, it just shows that Trump is probably financially benefiting from his relationship with Putin as well. I mean, you could trace the money with most of Trump's actions. We see it in the Middle East. He's ready to literally send U.S. troops to ethnically cleanse Palestinians for Israel because they're our ally, right? Yet Ukraine is our ally, not Russia, but we're clearly siding with Russia and their wants and needs in these negotiations. It's almost like the real reason they're doing this for Israel is because he sold Israeli policy to Miriam Adelson for $100 million. We also know that he essentially sold government function to Elon for $250 million. I wonder what he sold NATO policy for.